All right, and we are live. We have an upcoming Illuvium rewards revamp, a pause on the airdrop for Season 3, and a dev blog detailing some incredible new features in the works for Illuvium. Honestly, I'm actually very, very excited for what we have today. I know last week was a little bit dark and depressing, but we've got a really awesome episode lined up. And honestly, after this dev blog, I've got a renewed love, hope, faith for Illuvium. I'm actually very, very excited for what's coming. Don't laugh. I'm being serious. Like I'm in a good mood today. I'm in a very, very good mood. We're going to carry that through all throughout the episode. How are you guys going today?
I'm good. Yeah, another week. Lots to talk about. And yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah. Looking forward to see what the topics are.
Tishy calling me bipolar in the chat. I'm not that bad. All right.
Channeling Kanye West over here.
All right. The first announcement we've got is from Kieran from the 23rd of September. The release date for Illuvium Beyond Wave 3 is November 21, 2024. I know a lot of people didn't really love this in the chat. They said we should be focused on fixing the game and things like that and not announcing these sorts of things. I kind of get where they're coming from. At the same time, I'd rather this is announced now than announced 2 days before it launches. But at the same time, the team is working on fixing all the bugs and everything. They have that as their top priority. So you do not need to worry about that. I am a little bit biased. Wave 3 has Scoriox in it, so I am looking forward to it.
Cool. What's your take, Sam, on the date of Wave 3? I mean, just what do you think?
If I just look at numbers, I think Wave 2, like Beyond is not my style of game as well. It has brought in revenue. If you just look at the sheer numbers, I could say a million things of where I would push different things, but
yeah.
Wave 3 has been delayed long enough, I think, for the Beyond players, if there however many there are of them, and they probably want to collect something. Again, it's not my forte. And if the people who play Beyond want to spend the money and like the idea of filling out their albums, and there's a lot of new features coming, I think what's his name has been working on it extensively. One of the team members, who's the lead? Roger. Yeah, Roger's done a full overhaul on certain things and new features. So if players love that in the Beyond, awesome, they'll spend money and I guess more rewards for people, but as long as they're enjoying it, as long as it's not taking away resources from what I think is more important, as long as it's not doing that, then sure, if it's going to bring in revenue.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is that it needs to come with the rewards from Wave 1 and Wave 2. There's no way we go out with Wave 3 without those things being addressed, and even that, ideally Wave 3 rewards being ready to go straight away, unless it's like Wave 4 discs. That can be pushed back, but if it is battle boards, ranger skins, drone blast, things like that, like they need to be ready. I understand some of the frustration about why are we announcing Beyond right now when there are other things to fix. Look, it's coming out in November, like not even early November, late November, but we're giving quite a bit of notice there. So I don't mind it being announced. There's still quite some time for us to focus on other things, but letting the community know when to expect that makes sense. The initial intent was always to go back to back, and there has been a pretty lengthy pause. So for the Beyond collectors, I think it makes sense. Like I get it. I'm not really against it. I just want to make sure that the experience when it does go live is the right experience with the rewards and all the collections in place and up and running.
I think there's a few things too. Firstly, it's easy to forget that Beyond as a product is really supposed to have a sale live at all times. It's just one of those products that Illuvium sells and you can buy or not buy or whatever you want to do. The other thing that I think is actually really interesting here is Beyond discs will be purchasable with fuel. Now, personally, I don't really go into the overworld as often as I would like to. But really, I'm better off buying a lot of Illuvials off the Illuvidex. But sometimes I like just buying a disc once or twice every single week. I did that for all the previous waves. Just every now and then I'll buy a disc. Now that I can do so with fuel, it's even easier because I'm like, I don't really want to go in the overworld today, but I kind of need that dopamine rush. I'm going to just buy a disc and see what happens. You know what I mean? And I want the access to do that. There's also the Battle in the Beyond, which I know a lot of people really enjoy from Lizard Labs and things like that. And Lizard Labs is going to become even more integrated with Illuvium in a few ways outside of Beyond as well. So kicking all this off and getting it running is good, but really it's just an ongoing sale. It doesn't really matter when it launches, but it's good to just have it running and just have it there. I mean, right now you can buy cosmetic disc whenever you want. It's basically the same thing. It's just for a different sort of cosmetic.
Yeah, and Beyond was definitely more fun than cosmetic discs. I think the Battle in the Beyond. I know the Lizard guys are doing some pink slip stuff, so I think it can be fun. I mean, I remember there are some fun moments with that. The reason I have my Rampy is because I lost it on a stream. So, no, it is like there are definitely fun moments, and I am looking forward to it.
All right, so let's get on to the next one. The missions dashboard update. They say they resolved the issues with the Season 2 missions dashboard. All the points are now correctly displayed. The removal of milestone points from Season 2 and the adjustment to survival wave mission points from Season 1 as outlined in the previous ICCP. They do admit it took longer than expected. It's just one of those things. Hopefully, these Season 1 rewards should be distributed very, very soon. And in theory, they've got all their ducks in a row, so Season 2 wouldn't be far away once that concludes on September 30th. You have 4 more days to complete your Season 2. And the other thing is the revamped Season 3 reward structure. Now, we put a lot of numbers here and things like that, and there's still a lot we're worked on. These aren't completely set in stone, but they're pretty good numbers to go off. The idea that the council and Kieran have come up with is overworld events about 17% of the total pool, tournaments for almost 50%, leaderboards for about 15%, and missions and milestones for about 20%, with total ILV spent 12,000 tokens, which is significantly less than we're doing right now. Most importantly, if this is successful and people are enjoying it and it's doing well, then it will definitely ramp up at some point as well. I know there was quite a decent amount of discussion internally on a lot of this stuff, and I'm personally pretty happy with where we ended up with. But what's most important is going to be the actual structure for the tournaments and all that sort of stuff moving forward. So that's going to be even bigger than just these numbers.
What's your take, Sam? Can we go back to that?
Yeah.
Sam, what's your take on the priorities from this? So when you look at it as tournaments being 47, that's clearly geared towards primarily arena stuff, gauntlet, maybe some ascendant, and leaderboards, again, very much geared towards arena. So it looks like the priority for the airdrop and rewards are geared primarily towards that. What's your take on it? What are your thoughts on it? Do you think it's the right decision in terms of the numbers? No, not saying what would you change, but just what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think everything that the community has felt and what the team has implemented is correct, in my opinion, is delay Season 3 because you're literally just wasting money. So I definitely agree on that. And in regards to the structure with leaderboards, tournaments, overworld events, and the missions, I guess the percentages make sense to me. You could change it 5% here or there. It's not going to make a difference. But at the end of the day, the goal is, can we bring in these TFT players? Can we bring in Hearthstone players? That's the goal with these tournaments, right? These big flashy headlines, $5,000, $10,000 tournament. And I'm keen to see how that will play out once they fix Gauntlet or improve it a bit more. Season 3 starts, and then do a marketing campaign, PR campaign, try and get these players in, get the data, look at the numbers, see if they tick up. And if it's working, then obviously double down on it. If it's not, then you got to look at some other pivot way. But it seems to be the right move with what they have at the moment with Illuvium.
I've spoken to some people myself regarding if the tournaments can get them in and things like that. I definitely think big prize pools will really help. From Viper said in his recent video, I think a big thing is competitive integrity. You definitely don't want it to be a whales game in a tournament structured environment. But the other thing is, from the people I spoke to, they tell me they just won't care unless the game is fun. If they don't enjoy it, it just doesn't matter as much to them as I would have thought it would. I mean, maybe they'll come for the reward and maybe they'll win it once and be like, But really, they just want to play a game they really enjoy and then earn from a competition on top of that, not the other way around. I don't think they're really going to force themselves to play a game they don't enjoy. So making sure it's in a better state first is definitely really important.
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't need to be a perfect game. It can't be a horrible game. Like if it's absolute trash. I mean, even then, I'm sure there are some. But I think the idea here is not. I don't think this is going to be the thing that brings in the top TFT players by any means. But I think going for that lower mid tier TFT player, this is the thing that gets their eyes into it, and the game needs to be at least decent enough. I won't say it needs to be amazing. It just can't be trash. Like it needs to be decent enough, where they're like, okay, cool, I can see the potential here. I like what they're doing, and there's a huge earning potential for me here. So yeah, I think that there are a lot of variables that we need to consider, but I definitely agree that focusing more, and I know I've seen some people say we needed to focus more on the leaderboards, not tournaments. I get it. I get both sides. I think leaning more on the tournaments, like I think Sam, you mentioned like the big flashy numbers, that brings in, I think that's will make it a bit easier to get their eyes on it at least. And I've got some relationships with some of the TFT guys already, so I know that like some of the guys that were on Liquid, right? So I know some of them are keen to do more stuff with us, and something like that will make them at least take double back and see what we're doing.
Yeah, and like any competitive scene gets built up over time anyway. So there's no harm in just starting, getting all your ducks, making sure the tournaments are hosted right, structured right, and everything. Making sure that's all smooth, consistent, and then you upgrade the game even further, and so on and so forth. So the next one we've got is actually Aaron finally released the August dev blog. I'll show you a message later, but he also actually said that he's already writing the next one because September is almost over. But I want to take a look at this particular passage in the devlog. This is the thing that excited me the most. So Aaron says here that the game with the least work required to get into a really good state is the Illuvium Arena. I still think there is a lot of cool things happening here that you will enjoy. The main focuses are universal features, which I think is really interesting and 100% the right path moving forwards. He describes the shared pool and shop having weapons and suits for the ranger to wear, drone augments that alter your strategy, the item forge, Leviathan mode with more importance to leveling and finding strong traits, and the promised cosmetics are coming as well. The point behind this is to make the different modes have a common core that allows people to quickly learn new things. If you start playing survival, then your transition into Ascendant and Gauntlet will be smooth. Very, very awesome. I actually really like the idea of the RNG that Gauntlet offers being implemented in some way into Ascendant will make the Ascendant a little bit better, a little bit less flowcharty. But I mean, I'm not entirely sure on that just yet. But the other really cool thing is actually survival. Not only does he want to add the universal features, but he wants to add rogue-like elements such as permaboosts that you retain between runs, as well as infinite levels. This is something that would be really fun. It's just a game anyone can come in and play, not only to learn Illuvium and the Illuvium Arena, but it could be a really fun game. Imagine like every round 3 Illuvials pop up and you pick an Illuvial, and sometimes an Illuvial upgrade will pop up where you can upgrade Atlas to Axon or something. I think there's a lot of untapped potential in a roguelike auto battler, which is something that doesn't really exist yet. And I don't know how many people are going to enjoy it. I would personally really, really love it, especially if you have those sorts of elements where you retain boosts between runs. I just think this could be actually be the dark horse for Illuvium at this stage. I think survival's a bit underrated. A lot of people really enjoy it.
Yeah, not much to add on my side.
Nothing to comment on that?
No, I mean, I like anything roguelike. I love roguelikes. So anything like that, like I'm a big fan of.
I think if I just go back to the devlog itself, I think this is well overdue. I think the last one we had was like a year ago or something crazy. I don't understand why we stopped doing them, whether they should be just quarterly or something, but then for something just to be stopped for a whole year makes not much sense to me. But I can sit here and say, amazing devlog, all great words. Show me product. Show me when it's coming, and then I'll be super excited about it. But again, this is the right step in the right direction. This is exactly what's needed, the dev blog. And also, I think last week or the week before, not the co-founder, one of the other boys did another blog of some sort with the Illuvium, if you recall.
Yeah, I forget who it was.
Yeah, the COO or something like that. So, yeah, all in the right direction. So correct on that and just waiting to see product, basically.
Yeah.
I think the increase in comms is good. And some feedback that I actually got pretty recently, which is something that I never thought of actually, which is quite interesting, is that a lot of the comms are targeted towards investors and not so, and like there are different ways to actually communicate. There's to the gamers themselves and then the investors, right? And I think we need to find that balance of both. Of hey, season 2 is starting, guys. It's halfway through season 2, and kind of just like again getting the players excited about what's happening, not just season 2 was started, nothing until the end of season 2. You could very easily go seasons. Like there's so many things that we need a balance between. And I'll be honest, I never really thought about it that way. But a lot of the communication does feel like it's geared towards investors and not the gamers themselves. And I think we need to find that balance of, okay, yes, we need to address both at the same time. And if we do tackle it that way, there's actually a lot more communication that can be done, which I think would add a lot of benefit to the community as a whole.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to him doing more and more. He says that I think he calls himself lazy in the dev blog. And he says he's going to keep doing them. I also should note, for anyone who hasn't seen, in the recent announcement, I think Rich made the announcement. They did talk about how ranked and things are expected to come at the end of October. So, like you're saying, Sam, I know we haven't seen or heard exactly when things are coming, but that is the main date we're looking forward to right now. So I'm looking at that one. I have no idea if it will make it by that time. The team seems confident. We'll go over that now. So let's get into some
Kieran,
of the leaks and discussions.
I'll actually just share this as well. I'll say that the next 4 weeks should be pretty good. We should ship quite a few things. I know that the team is working on balance patches as well. I know that's taken a bit of a backseat recently, but that should be coming out. We've obviously got the rankings, leaderboards, lobbies. The next couple of weeks, the next 4 weeks, I'd say for Arena is looking pretty positive.
So just quickly, the knee badge Neb says Illuvium has only promises, nothing delivered. I mean, 3 games were launched like 2 months ago. So, I mean, like, things are getting delivered. I don't know what you want me to say, but yeah. So let's jump into it. Aaron says he's very confident in making Arena more fun. Let's move on from that. The other thing is Aaron says the team worked on the cosmetics and ranking stuff first. While Ranger in Gauntlet is cool, it isn't completely necessary, so the extra gameplay elements come last. We've got to get out the cosmetics because we really owe people a lot of stuff. Trying to sort out that and then working on the Ranger stuff. It's quite funny you said this because I had that video I made the other day where I said, stop working on cosmetics and things. I never really thought about it this way, where they owe people a lot of stuff. There is a really big backlog of cosmetics that are owed to people. You've got all of the rewards from the discs. You've got all of the balance of sale NFTs and all that sort of stuff. You've got a lot of emotes and things. There's a lot of NFTs that exist that cannot currently be used. Like Blueprints is another one. And so I think, you got to kind of like get through the backlog before you can comfortably move forward. You don't just want to leave it there forever in limbo. And so I've changed my perspective on that a little bit. I still don't love it, but I've come to grips with it a bit better. So yeah, I just wanted to say that.
I'm with you on that. Personally, I would love to have the actual features in the game first, but understanding that there was a backlog and IOUs to the players, to the consumer, is something that needs to be addressed. We can't just keep pushing that back. So it's one of those things you have to bite the bullet on. Like get that done, get that out of the. It's similar to the Wave 2, Wave 3 thing that I mentioned before. We need to get that out, and then we can move on to the next thing, which I get.
So the next one we'll get onto is Kieran says that they'll be shipping a new patch to the experimental build for players to test. I don't know exactly what that means, but it sounds like they might be doing some more testing that is not just internal players at some point. So that'll be really interesting. I don't know exactly what that's about, but that'll be really cool.
Yeah.
So next we've got Neil is getting even more active in the chat, which is what we love to see. I believe he took on Nick's previous job, so some sort of production manager or something like that. And so he has pretty good handle on where things are at for the different games, or at least that's his job. And he says the biggest balance patch yet for Arena has been in the works. We had to put it on standby to recover our strengths after mainnet release, but now we are back at it with full force with extreme high priority. He can't say when it will be ready, but it shouldn't take much longer. a few messages later, he says something like, it probably won't be this week or next week, maybe the week after, but it's just kind of, it's that end of October sort of vibe anyways, or mid-October. So I'm looking forward to that, but they sound confident. The other thing is Arena has many things in the pipeline on the verge of converging to round out the beginning of a true and well-tied competitive experience. It doesn't mean it'll be ready. Oh, that's the one I was just saying. All right. All right. So I don't know what this next one I've got is. Oh, yeah, this one here. So the other thing he says is you will need some time to go through the patch notes. And that brings a question to you, TSG, is I know the community is upset about how little bug fixes there have been at times, especially lately. We've got 3. I hear it's 3. I only hear one of them get talked about more than the other 2, though. 3 broken augments in the game right now. Do you know why they're prioritizing massive patches instead of some smaller ones to keep the game functional?
The way that it's set up in the back, it sounds like that Kevin Hart joke of, yeah, the way my account is set up. But no, the way it's set up in the back, it's hard to just adjust one small thing. I know we're working on changing that system, so it is easier. We can just toggle something on and off. That needs to be done. Kieran's mentioned this publicly, and it's a very obvious thing that we need to do. Unfortunately, it's just not the case at the moment. But as we move forward, that's something that we're striving to do. So if something like this does happen again, we can just toggle it on and off, and it doesn't ruin the experience for everyone else.
So they're adding that thing where they can just remove items at will?
That is, as far as I'm aware, that is the intent. Yeah.
Okay. You don't have any comments on any of this, Sam? You've been quite quiet today.
No, I mean, like, I'm waiting. Like, I have to be patient here. Obviously, we do this every week, but the team is working on things, and I like I said, I need to see product. I'll be just saying the same thing as the week before and the week before that. So I think by the sounds of it, by the end of October, there'll be something to be excited for. There'll be some sort of more products. Everything's moving in the right direction. It's just a patience game. This isn't, what do they say? Rome wasn't built in a day. Seems to be a very long road, but they seem to be making better decisions now than the last couple of weeks with these dev blogs and everything. So, yeah, I'll speak if I need to speak on certain things. We'll keep going.
I think it's quite funny, actually. Like, crypto is like so compressed. It's insane. Like, for the past 6 months, I've been like saying on my channel and out loud and stuff that I've been doing content for 3.5 years. It'll actually be 3 years in October. I thought I was here a whole year longer than I actually have been. And it feels that way with Illuvium too. They've really only been building the games for 3 years. Releasing any game with the graphical fidelity that Illuvium has in 1 year, considering you've got to split the 3 games up into 1 year each, because 3 games in 3 years, is actually unheard of in all of gaming. So it's like, imagine how good the overall would be if they only built 1 game, though. There's that kind of that argument as well. But it's quite interesting. Like, we feel like things are slow, but really they're not. It's just crypto moves so fast that by comparison, you feel really slow, or at least that's how I kind of feel sometimes. You know what I mean?
Building transparently was, it would have been way better if we had just built it in silence and then come out with a product. It's yeah. Like maybe, right? Maybe we wouldn't have got the community we did at the same, but I don't know. It would have made my life a lot easier if it was just build behind the scenes and come out when we were ready.
Yeah. All right. So we'll jump into some of the community discussion and then community content. It's not a whole lot being talked about right now. No really popular topics, at least. The main one here is ensuring fair leaderboard rewards for Illuvium Beyond. The issue with the secondary wallet feature is currently not live, meaning that anyone who has very high value Illuvatars would be risking it bringing them onto their passport. And so until this functionality is live, you can't really start up leaderboard rewards for Beyond again. At the same time, you kind of need them to begin before Wave 3 comes out, because then there's a big discrepancy and disadvantage to those who have just held really good Illuvatars all of this time and really should have been receiving leaderboard rewards. So this is going through councils now. I think we're looking to approve it, or I'm looking to approve myself on the IMC unless something comes up. but it looks like it shouldn't be too much of a problem on the team's end either. So I'm looking forward to this one, but this one looks fine. So there's that. And we jump into the community content. The first one, we've got Rolf keeps posting updates of his Illuvium bedroom. Actually looks really, really cool. He's even painted the ILV logo on his wall.
That's pretty cool, to be fair.
Yeah, it's great. There's a bunk bed. I saw his kids sitting down. They had like a controller and they were playing the Overworld on the TV the other day, which was pretty cool. So yeah, absolutely loving this dedication. The other one is Illuvium Master is closing their doors at the end of this month. They say they appreciate all the support, and the community really rallied behind this as well. They showed a lot of support for Illuvium Master over the years. They've showing even more support now. So very nice, but it's just one of those things that happens.
Can I ask, is there a reason why they shut down?
I don't know what I am and aren't allowed to say, but let me just say that it was expensive to run. Okay. And it was betting on the success of Illuvium a little bit. And without that, it's just too expensive to run, really. Yeah. But there's a bit more to it, but that's the main thing. The next one we've got is there is a fireside chat happening in 3 hours from now. So definitely go and check that out. Do you know who's actually going to be speaking at that, TSG?
No clue.
All right. Well, it's supposed to be some higher up, some sort of dev or something. It's going to be fun. Probably play Gauntlet and things like that. I'm really excited for that, actually. I've got my council meeting after this and then fireside chat after that. So
yeah,
exciting night for me.
Yeah, I forget who it is, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be pretty insightful.
I'm really looking forward to it. And the last one is, as I talked about before, the esports video from Viper. I watched it recently. It was really good. He talked a lot about competitive scene, what it could look like for Illuvium, what needs to change, what needs to be updated. The big thing was maintaining competitive integrity. You definitely don't want it to be a whales game. From a viewer perspective, like you don't want a bunch of people who suck at the game playing on the big stage. That's kind of weird. But from more of a user acquisition perspective, if players from TFT are like, oh, big prize pool, that looks fun, I want to play. And then they go, oh, but I need to spend $5,000 on Illuvials to compete. Yeah, no, not happening. So
sorry, I'm cutting you off here. But regarding this, it's something that I've been thinking about. So Gauntlet, we know is much more accessible. You can come in and just jump in and play. That it's amazing. I say it's amazing. I mean that aspect of it is amazing. Mm-hmm. Ascendant is going to get reworked completely. In terms of, and I know I saw what Viper wrote there about the TCG kind of thing about building a deck. What do you guys think about that, even for Ascendant? Because I don't like. Is that where we want to go? Is the preparation? Is that something that we want to include in this, or should it just be jump in and play? And there are mechanics in the game that we have to deal with. Maybe it might introduce a little bit more RNG, but is that a better experience for the player? For me personally, I would say yes. But for the competitive player or for the viewer, what do you guys think?
Well, building a deck is an interesting point because I really enjoy it in TCGs that I play. The problem is that we're not built like the other TCGs, and maybe we should be. So the big issue that we have is most TCGs limit the cards you can use. For example, with Hearthstone, you choose your hero, and it might be like the mage or the warrior, and then you get a set of warrior cards you can choose from, which there aren't that many in a current format, and then the wild cards, which you can just use whatever from, and you combine them together and build your deck. In pretty much all the games, it works like that. Parallel is the same. It has a set amount of cards for that given parallel that you can equip and things like that. Illuvium is wrong twice. The first way is that it gives you access to everything, and there's just a lot to take in, and like you got like 300 suits. When we had augments, you had like 100 augments, and then like 200 Illuvials or whatever. There's a lot, and no one's going to know anything to do with that. The other thing is the decks are really big. Now, I don't know if you need that for the game to function properly, but you add like 20 cards to a deck, and it's like, oh, I'm tired, I just want to play. You go up to 50 like we have right now, and it's just like, it's just roll my eyes, quit, uninstall, I can't be bothered. You know what I mean? So there's a world where deck building is fine, but it still needs to be way more simplified than what we have right now. And then your other option is recommended deck building, where you add a few things and it's like, oh, we recommend you add this, this, and this, and you just click a button, you're good to go. Like there are options to make it easier, and people enjoy that. But I think there's possibly a world where you have gauntlet style systems in the Ascendant as well. And I don't know exactly what that looks like, or if that's better or worse, but it might be good. It's definitely more accessible, but I don't know.
That would incentivize me to play more than building a deck. The moment you say I need to spend time, before I even know what I'm doing to build a team, like I'm out. Like I'm just out. And I know there are TCG players out there, that is a thing, but I don't know if that's who we should be targeting.
You're not going to appeal to the masses with that sort of stuff, in my opinion. And I'll take this back in like a summed up answer would be, especially with crypto and Illuvium, things are too complicated. You need everything. The only thing that always has mattered to me personally is the user experience. I don't care how it works behind the closed doors. I don't give a shit. I just want a fun game to play. I want a easy to understand thing instead of all this, I guess, jargon coming at me. So I feel like if you're adding deck building, it doesn't really make sense. You just need it to be simplified. The idea of a game is people have their jobs, they come home, I want to play a game for fun for a couple of hours to take my life away from the wife and kids, from the job that I don't really like. I'll spend some money if I own these assets. That's really cool. And if I enjoy a chess style like game, then make it super easy for me to understand. Make it super easy for me to get through the first couple of levels or the first bit to just toe in the water. Look at every mobile game that you see. They tutorial you through it very quickly and easy, and you upgrade very quickly in the first little bit of whatever game you pick, and you'll get like gold and coins and everything like that, and you feel good. And you're like, I just built this little town. I did this. Yeah. And I think if Illuvium took those sort of things from other games and just implemented it into what Illuvium is now, I think it'll be way more successful. Again, all of this, everything, we all want to do a million things in Illuvium. We all want overworld combat. We all want better gauntlet, better this, better that. It's about finding where should those resources be spent, because that's what matters. With about roughly a year runway, give or take, which is fine. I don't think it's a concerning thought right now. And obviously with the crypto markets over the next 6 months, it's going to be absolutely bananas. But it's more so you want to be prepared for those moments because you want to have a good, fun game. I don't care about airdrops personally. I don't care about token price that much. I just care that Illuvium's in a very good spot in a way that they're a couple of months away by the sounds of things. I don't know what's going on behind closed doors, is that all these, with the market conditions and everything sort of heading in that direction that we all think, is they need to have a fun, good game. And if they can deliver something like that without all the jargon and have ownership, then it wins. That's what should matter.
Yeah, I agree 100% in terms of the user experience. If that's not the number one thing,
nothing matters. Like, I don't want a passport to pop up on me and then it should be all built in, or I don't want, I just make it so easy for a dumb human being. When Donald Trump talks to people, he talks to them at a third grade level on purpose. He's a very smart man, probably most likely. I'm not into politics, but the way he talks is so everyone can understand him. He doesn't.
It's beautiful. Some people say the most beautiful. It's the most beautiful. No, I don't know who say it, but some people say it. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Say it like that.
Right? Like, it has to be simple.
Yeah. No, I agree. And it's a lot of the feedback that we get with the Illuvidex as well. It's like, what does the player actually want? And then just address that. Like, make that the thing. So, yeah. I don't know. I've got a vision for how I would like to see Ascendant. I think there's still a lot of hope for it. It just needs to be done properly with the user in mind, and not some. It's got to be done with the user in mind. I'll leave it at that.
My only concern with eliminating the deck builder entirely is you don't want it to be too close to Gauntlet. Keeping them as entirely separate game modes is quite helpful.
Why?
It's because if someone wants to play that style of game, they can just play Gauntlet. If someone wants to play a TCG style game, they can play Ascendant. There needs to be degrees of separation. There's no point in having two games that are similar. That'll cannibalize the player base even more.
Yeah, no, I disagree. I think that it should be similar to create consistency. If it's arena and there are different game modes in arena, just make them consistent. And once we have a larger player base, we can go to Ascendant Classic or Ascendant TCG, but just make it consistent that, like what Sam is saying, what I'm saying, any Tom, Dick, and Harry can come in and know that if they go and play Gauntlet, they like it, but they want to go 1v1, they don't need to learn a whole new thing. They can just go into it. And it's a similar kind of concept that they can just go with. Like, I don't want to play, like, if I'm playing Smash Bros, or I don't want to play with no items and then with items and have to learn completely new buttons and a new setup. Let me just play the same thing. It's just a slight different rule. That's how it should be. So it needs to be consistent, which is my take. I could be wrong. I know. Flame me in the chat, guys, if you think I'm wrong, but I don't think I am.
I feel you. I think the item forge is going to make a really big difference, if nothing else, where you'll be able to craft augments over time, I'm assuming, similar to how crafting items works in TFT. So the only other big thing I wanted to talk to you guys about was, what do you, and you in the chat too, what do you think would be the best structure for Illuvium rewards, leaderboards, tournaments, whatever? What do you think will actually attract the most users? Like, what is the... I don't know. What is the play? I want to know.
A good game. A fully fleshed out game. I think what we have proposed for Season 3 makes sense. Focus on arena, focus on tournaments, focus on things that, yes, have it slightly or heavily skewed towards the Leviathan side, which still provides value to those spending in the ecosystem, all of that stuff. I think that we need to focus more on arena, especially once leaderboards and rewards comes in. That is what is needed to complete the game loop. There's still things that can be done to improve the game experience, but at least you have something that you're working towards. Whereas I think in Overworld, we had a bit of a chat about it prior, but it's essentially understanding the economy side of things. It's a tap. There's no there's no full game loop that I personally see yet in Overworld that needs to be addressed, and pushing players into that again and again when we have an abundance of Illuvials on the marketplace. There's so many Illuvials out there. We see the floor price dropping. Sending them and directing them back at Overworld right now just seems like a wrong decision. Focus that into arena where we can start building out that player base. I think it's a more complete game loop. There's tournaments. You can start building that kind of stuff out. That's where the attention needs to go, with a little bit of a sprinkle in Overworld still, of course, as well as Zero and the milestones and things. So I think in terms of, and there's debate about majority being in leaderboards or majority being in tournaments. I don't mind. I'm not going to lean either way. I think there's value to both. I think it's at that point it's trial and error. But I think the Season 3 allocation is what I would suggest.
I think to add on to that would be the idea of these leaderboards and the tournaments and everything else is to bring in players. I think the number one goal Illuvium needs to do is bring in as many players as possible with not expecting them to spend money. Just get your player base numbers up. Go from whatever it is now, which is debatable, times it by 10, times it by 100. Just get them in, get them playing, get them loving the IP, and then worry about trying to make money. We don't have to make money right now, but you need to make sure you're bringing people in. And right now, I don't see that happening, whether that's an immutable passport problem, whether that's an onboarding problem, whether the game's not fun problem, whatever it is, work that out and just get as many players as you can in and do the Facebook strategy. Don't monetize yet. Don't worry about monetizing. Just bring everyone in, bring millions of people in, get the word out there, and then sell down the line when we have more power play to use these users to make money. Just get everyone in.
Which is why I think the arena thing makes sense, because you have the free-to-play arena side of things. We'll be rewarding that, and then we will be heavily rewarding the Leviathan stuff. So those free-to-play players, if they want to take part in that, they can. But 100%, I agree with that in terms of bringing in. We need numbers.
I'm excited to see what will happen when there is rewards for leaderboard and all these tournaments. And this will happen over the next couple of months.
Correct.
So we'll see what happens. I mean, to me, it sounds like the right move to do. There's no other pieces of the chess you could play in this game that you could be like, hey, put our resources into this. And I think that's what makes sense right now. But then also thinking a little bit further ahead is what happens if it doesn't work? Like, what's our backup? Not necessarily backup plan, because I'm not one for backup plans. I am all in one way, push it, just make it work. Try, fail, go again. Try, fail, go again. And I just, if it doesn't work, there needs to be some sort of an easy way to pivot to whatever direction that would be. I've always been the one that I'm saying, I think we should focus more on Overworld, and I think that would be beneficial. But I don't think it would make sense to go there now because you need to try this out first to know if it's going to be successful or not. Plus, it becomes a resource thing. If you're putting all the resource in Overworld, to get something really solid in Overworld costs a lot of money and a lot of time because of the way it's designed. With Arena, it's a lot easier, less resources per se, and it's just around the corner. So I guess from standing back would be, yes, do exactly what TSG just said. Add all those things in. Let's get the data back. Let's see what happens. And then knowing what could happen, like put on the table what the outcomes could be, and then pivot to what makes sense.
Yeah, and I think it's funny you mention acquiring players for free and then doubling down on trying to get them to pay and things like that as a separate stage. Mm-hmm. And my question is this. My biggest concern with leaderboards, and one of the reasons why I think making sure the tournaments is bigger than leaderboards is leaderboards can probably be exploited quite easily. Now, obviously, there's a lot of ways you can do it, but it's either you reward the top 1% of players and it's barely exploited, or you reward everyone to some extent and it's heavily exploited. Everyone just multi-accounts, plays all their 5 wins a day or whatever you want to do and stuff like that, and they just like generate free money or whatever. The question is that worth it? Is it worth it to get the player numbers up, to get more interest in Illuvium, to drive more hype, to make them all a bit more interesting? Is it worth just kind of, I mean, that's basically what we're doing now with the missions, is we're giving away free money for people who are probably not going to stay around for the long term, unless Illuvium was like the best game ever or whatever. Is it worth doing that with so much leaderboard rewards, or is the focus right to make sure that tournaments are way, way bigger?
But you can also cap leaderboard rewards, right? You can say top 500.
Well, you cap it, but that's what I'm saying. You still like that portion of funds is really kind of going to this weird spot where it's getting exploited.
How is that getting? I'm sort of confused though. Like
you'd have top players multi-accounting and stuff like that, and then the majority of players would say, "Oh, but it's not accessible to me. Like, do I even want to participate?" Like, there's all these variables we need to take into account.
But you need to give rewards. Either way, the leaderboard rewards need to be there. How you do that, whether it's a top 100, top 1,000, whatever it is, depending on the player base numbers. And I get it if people are multi-accounting. You just do the best of your ability. It's not worth your time and resources if 20 people are multi-accounting to take time and resources from the team to find exactly who's done this and that.
Yeah.
Instead of just building out a damn good product to get people in. That should be where your focus is, and stop putting time and energy on, we gave away $87 more to these sort of people or whatever it may be. It doesn't matter. When you're burning $1 million a month, focus on the things that are going to bring in players, which is leaderboard rewards, which is tournaments. Put it to a PR agency, push it all out there, get the right players who like this style of game into these games, get them playing it, find the data, see if they love it. If they do and they stick around, then we build out from that.
Yeah.
All right. I got nothing more. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about before we wrap this one up?
Not at all. Not on my side.
No.
All right. Then, and with that, the download is complete. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. I hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back next week, same time, for more Download Illuvium news.